for Nigeria to utilize its vast natural gas resources in the transportation sector. The president stated that CNG transportation is an economic necessity for Nigerians, signaling a significant shift in the country's approach to public transportation and energy use. Also, a few months ago, in its continued efforts aimed at providing alternative sources for fuel, Nigeria, to lessen the impact of subsidy removal, the federal government commissioned a 5.2 million standard cubic feet per day of compressed natural gas plants in Lagos. Now, all of these efforts are aimed at helping Nigerians cushion the effect of high transport fare, which many believe is a fallout of the removal of fuel subsidy and other economic policy stance of the present administration. Let's get talking now. Yushau Aliu is an economic analyst. Mr. Aliu is joining us from our Abuja studios to make more sense of some of these policy initiatives of government. Thank you so much. It's good to have you on the program this afternoon, Mr. Aliu.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Nigeria.
I think we should take it from what the president did yesterday, again inaugurating the CNG buses. This is direct focus on addressing transport fare, which is one of the major fallouts of subsidy removal. What would you say about efforts of government so far? Maybe we'll start from that sector, because if transportation is much cheaper, movement of food from the rural to the urban space will be cheaper. And at the end of the day, the prices will be more reasonable than what we have at the moment. What do you make of government's bold step in regards to addressing transport costs?
First of all, we have to acknowledge the promise made by Mr. President earlier since last year, when the pronouncement was made that subsidy is no longer going to exist. But however, Mr. Tolu, I still want to assist the president, because you know, last year we discussed on Dangote refinery, and we have highlighted some cogent issues which are now to the public purview. Mr. President is trying to address issues of concern based on what he had, what he is hearing from the public. But what is more important is efficiency that the president has to be using in advocating this kind of interventions, and at the same time also communicating to Nigerians to the best available sources, how they can understand the importance of transport, the importance of government commitment, the importance of public-private partnership. Whatever government is trying to do will be complemented if the public are well aware of the emergencies and with all the provisions government has on ground.
So communicating this now, we've seen that a lot has been outlined. Look at the student loan scheme. Look at graduates going to be earning a stipend, you know, just to keep themselves body and soul together. So let's talk about these interventions and what you make of them.
You see, Mr. President has promised many things, ranging from agriculture, the educational sector, the health sector, the transport sector, including the mainstream of the Nigerian economy, that is the oil sector. All these are important once you understand what the role of federal government is to the public and what the state government role is to the economy. You know, we must be complementing this desire. Federal government alone, the intervention of federal government alone cannot cover 360 degrees of Nigeria. Remember, the structure of Nigeria includes the federal government, the state and local government. Remember also, all the proceeds from subsidy removal is being used and shared by 3 tiers of government. So, but in my opinion, the student loan scheme is a good scheme, but if you look at the volume of students who are desperate to access this kind of, I would say, intervention, cannot be adequate. But it's a good step in the right direction. But student also has to understand that there are certain level at which you must qualify to be part of this scholarship, including the grade, the university grade levels, and also the educational qualification of individual. Notwithstanding too, if you take all these interventions that are coming directly from Mr. President and going to the public, there is need for different agencies that are responsible to educating Nigerians, especially Federal Ministry of Education. Federal Ministry of Education has a role to play in educating university students, either in form of lectures or seminars, so that these students can quickly put a lot of effort to access the facility. That is on education. The intervention of government also in transport efficiency. What we are looking for in this economy is efficiency in distribution. No matter what, if it is concentrated in the big cities, definitely it cannot influence what you are talking about, especially bringing from the food production zones to the consumption zones require a lot of efficiency to facilitate the distribution of goods and services.
Mr. Aliyu, the president highlighted during his speech after during the protest, the national protest, saying that government has blocked leakages, revenue has improved, debt servicing has reduced. Many have spoken about this, and that it's really positive for a country servicing debt with almost 100% of its revenue before now. How does this also come to you? What is expected when there's improved revenue? Citizens want more.
Of course, but you know, there is complementing the government drive in trying to block leakages has to be well articulated. Let me give an instance. From the inception of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, we have seen how quickly he arrested a situation under Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Resources. That is a good attempt, and that is what is expected of him. And today also, we are hoping that, because most of these interventions are categorized and organized by this ministry. So there is need, first of all, to have a minister in charge of humanitarian services. Now the leakages that you are speaking about, this administration, this year's budget is one of the largest appropriations so far, above 28 trillion. So when you look at the quantum of resources that are involved in trying to revolutionize the economy and put efficiency into the gross level of the economy, you will realize that there is also need to understand what is called timing in the Appropriation Act, meaning that no matter what is contained in it, no matter how leakages are blocked, what the economy is looking for, one is transparency, second is efficiency. That efficiency has to do with the discharge of responsibilities by corresponding ministries, especially ministries that are involved in putting food on tables on Nigerians. Federal Ministry of Agriculture. There are factors that can assist this ministry to function well based on the quantum of money that is contained in the budget. But also we have to salute the central bank for the first time for allocating fertilizers. You know, if you block leakages, leakages must be used as injections too, because whatever you block, you must inject it back to the economy, and where that economy will be responding so that growth can be positive for the financial year. Distribution of fertilizer in good time by the central bank through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is a welcome development. And however, the president needs to understand a lot of policy measures that are required to assist the interventions that he's making. There are a lot of policy adjustments which require very serious attention, especially monetary policies. Monetary policies can direct investment to work, can direct investment not to work. Therefore, it is good for Mr. President to sit with the monetary policy authorities to understand what the economy is looking for. Remember, I always used to highlight one point on this subsidy that we have started with. It is not President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that removed subsidy. It was the Petroleum Industry Act of January 22 that stopped whatever concept of subsidy in Nigerian economy. Therefore, if Nigerians need to understand why Mr. President is not speaking about subsidy right now, they should remember that there is a law backing the petroleum industry. That Petroleum Industry Act is a very fundamental act which stood for Nigeria over 40 years. President Buhari succeeded in bringing it in the limelight, and that has stopped a lot of leakages that is emanating from the subsidy payment. That is the first thing. So if you are to assess subsidy, all these leakages based on category of loopholes that exist in the financial system, you realize that subsidy was the greatest risk Nigeria ever took to bring out so much of leakages that the country suffered over a very long period of time. However, it is also important for Mr. President to understand that there are things that are immediate to addressing issues. It's like a household. Never underestimate the power of household management. If a child is hungry, his first place of protest is his mother. The next one is the breadwinner. Therefore, from the recent trend that happens in the economy, I'm advising and I'm still agreeing with Mr. President that the food waiver that he has extended, given 150 days, there is need to put efficiency to make sure that there is enough food distribution within the economy. Remember, above 200 million people. What is the tonnage requirement of rice? What is the tonnage requirement of maize? These are things that must be brought to the table of Mr. President to understand our deficit, to understand our capacity, and to also use the same leakages that were blocked to facilitate this for national growth and development.
Let's talk about that PIA that you mentioned and what we see now with regards to crude oil supply. There's been a back and forth, and you are aware of this. Dangote Refinery is saying we are not getting enough of allocation of crude from the NNPC. NNPC, IOCs have commitments to meet already. They are also holding their grounds. Now, what do you make of this development? And at the end of the day, the entire aim is to open up this market. With this back and forth, and now President says, sell to Dangote in Naira. Is that the solution? Or do you think that this would address all of the contending issues?
It's an immediate solution, Mr. Tolu. It's an immediate solution. Remember last year we discussed on TVC the commissioning of Dangote Refinery, and we have highlighted some of the roles government can play. Why I am emphasizing on Petroleum Industry Act. This act has come to make the industry more friendly to Nigerians, friendly to domestic investors, friendly to foreign investors. And we can only make it more friendlier when Nigerian consumers begin to test the outcome of this PIA by consuming a product that is refined in Nigeria. Nigeria producing 1.6 million barrels of crude oil, and Dangote with the capacity of 650,000 capacity, producing AGO, producing PMS, producing jet fuel. These are things that will bring additional dollars into the economy. These are things that will stabilize prices in the economy, but it should not be done in such a manner that we are not sincere in whatever commitment. Remember, in understanding PIA, you have to understand PIA in respect to investment in oil sector, PIA in respect to the oil producing zones of this country, PIA in respect to social service structure of the industry entirely. Therefore, if PIA will bring additional investors, it is welcome. If PIA will make Dangote to produce a refined product and distribute, it's a welcome development. If the same PIA will encourage Dangote to produce energy to about 12,000 megawatt. 12,000 megawatt is 3 times what Nigeria is producing in an ordinary day. And if you can have that one from the Lagos axis to the entire southwest, energy is covered. And if energy is covered in the southwest, definitely the energy that is derived either from Shiroro or from Kainji, all these things can be used at the middle belt of Nigeria and some part of Nigeria. Remember that there is a lot of commitment being done, especially in terms of energy. Mr. President has called Siemens of Germany to come with their experience, to come with their technology, to come also with their investment, to put additional energy. If these things are provided, I don't think the youth will be protesting. Remember that what is making youth to protest is that their parents' inability to feed them regularly. And that is a constraint, and that is a concern. There is need for Mr. President to go beyond distributing money to state governors, distributing money to other tiers of government, but also to concentrate and understand the total number of Nigerians. I have been calling this one for a very long time, that there is need to have a head count. Head count will help government in our policy drive. And if we can succeed in having a head count, we will understand the demographic structure of our population, we understand our youth, we understand those who are ready to go for education, those who are ready to go for other endeavors. And government should strive and put a lot of policy measures. This time around, there must be coordination. Coordination not just from the federal government. Federal government has a responsibility to coordinate other states, to coordinate all other structures of government, to make sure, because whoever is speaking against the federal government. But meanwhile, whatever that is coming to the federal government is being shared according to tiers of government based on the recommendation of Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
I think I still find it so interesting. I will stay with this as we wrap up. All theft is one major challenge affecting our oil and gas industry. We've heard private sector players even coming up recently to say, can we begin to name and shame some of those involved in this very ugly act that everyone has condemned all year long? Now, what do you make of this? And do you think that government is deliberate enough in addressing this challenge? Let's wrap up on that note.
I think with the PIA, government need to digitalize production. That will solve the matter. If we digitalize production of crude oil like is done in many parts of the world, we will monitor those who are stealing this product. And the end result is that there is a law waiting for all of them, because no matter what sabotage you put your hand against the economy, there is a law waiting for you. For me, disappointing or shaming those who are part of it is not the immediate solution. The immediate solution is to protect the industry, because the president has swear on 29th of May that he will protect lives and wealth of this nation. And the best way to protect, there is a digitalization concept that you monitor what you produce, monitor what you sell, and also monitor your financial transactions.
So you think if that is done, we can address this ugly trend? Now, Mr. Liu, what would be your outlook for the economy? Now that Nigeria is chasing a $1 trillion economy, the banking sector has also been placed on a recapitalization process, which is on, and many believe that that should be achieved seamlessly by some of the major banks operating in the country. What are you thinking? What's your outlook? When do you think that we start to ease up with inflation and all of that moving forward?
Controlling inflation is one of the most simplest models to be adopted. What is the component of inflation that is giving Nigeria difficulty? Is food inflation. Food inflation stood at above 44.85%. So if we can tackle cost of production in the production and then put efficiency into use, we will curb inflation in that regard. But there is one contention. The fact that Mr. President is ambitious to have a $1 trillion economy. The central bank is playing a big role. Recapitalization of the banking. Recapitalization of the banking sector is very crucial to achieving that dream, but there is other component. The component is we have to stabilize our exchange rate. Exchange rate must be stabilized so that whatever input that we are making into the economy will have a productive use to the economy.
It's a good way to live it. Mr. Yeshua Leo is an economic analyst. He joined us live from our Abuja studios. Thank you so much. I will hope to have you in. Join the show again anytime soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.